Hi, my name is Jim Kraft and I'm the Executive Director of the Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement. The Commission is a unit of state government housed in the Office of the Governor. It serves as a focal point for the criminal justice policy planning and development for the state of Louisiana. We provide a forum for all elements of the criminal justice system to come together under a common cause to develop programs that serve a wide range of organizations. Our clients include law enforcement agencies, victim services groups, district attorneys, courts, and indigent defenders. The Commission uses proven, innovative, and critical operational initiatives to administer more than 25 programs, all of which are designed to promote the highest professional and ethical standards in law enforcement. We also provide quality services to victims of crime and the general public.
You're looking at the Louisiana State Police Crime Lab in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We process physical evidence for police agencies and also for crime scenes that we attend ourselves. And this physical evidence is processed in the narcotics, toxicology, DNA, and physical evidence units. I personally process firearms evidence that comes into the laboratory. This evidence may be submitted for fingerprints, for DNA, and for test firing. We also take those test fires and put them into a national database to search against other crime scenes. And then we compare our test fires that we recover to evidence collected at crime scenes. And this is very important to catch people who are out committing crimes on the streets. We have approximately, I'd say, 100 to 115 analysts here at the lab, and they go through training that takes years, and that is in-house training and outside training. And all of our analysts have bachelor degrees, and some have master's degrees as well.
This training is supported by LCLE, is very valuable because it allows us to stay up on the trends and also network with all the different labs in the state, even within the whole country. And it allows us to just stay up on our discipline and be better educated.
If it wasn't for the Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement, we would not be able to attend the training conferences necessary to keep current in our fields. And these conferences allow us to stay up with new techniques and new equipment in the field and in the laboratory. And this is important to help us process evidence in a timely manner so that we can get these criminals off the streets.
Technology changes all the time, and so with the latest techniques, it allows us to do our job better and better with anything that we can do to make it a little bit easier and to get the finer techniques.
It's called the NICS AC Record Improvement Program, and NICS, of course, stands for the National Instant Criminal Background Check System. And the record program that we're speaking of today is a grant program that allows us to improve our data input into NICS so that the criminal background check done on people who are trying to buy a firearm like this works better. This is important because we want to make sure that firearms do not get in the hands of the wrong people, the criminals. The Commission on Law Enforcement assists us and the whole program greatly by administering grant programs such as this one, and so it allows us to receive the funds necessary so that we continue to improve the system, primarily with the data that goes uploaded to NICS to its system like this, so when they're running a background check, they have accurate, reliable information. If it was not for the grant funds that we received from the Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement, we would not be able to make the improvements to NICS that we continue to do so that the data in Louisiana on criminal backgrounds is uploaded as we have.
It was one night, just, I guess, the wrong place, wrong time. They had an altercation, and just so happened I end up on the ground. That's all I remember. I was shot twice in the back. After that, I just remember just waking up in the hospital.
That night, we were home sleeping, and then we got the phone call in the middle of the night that your son has been in an accident. And I'm like, maybe you got the wrong number, because my son's in the bed asleep. And jumped up and just went to check, and sure enough, he was not at home that night. and from there, everything just kind of went in a whirlspin. Getting the wife up and us, promptly rushing off to the hospital to find out, just what had went on. Well, when we got to the hospital, they had him in the emergency room still, and then we just sat and waiting and see, just to try to find out what was the severity of the injuries. And upon talking with the doctor, he just kind of, told us that he was going to be okay. He just, had a lot of things going on, and we were back and forth in our mind, just trying to, fathom what exactly was his severity of the injuries. And then, he came out of the ER and proceeded. They brought him to the ICU and had all these tubes and stuff hung up on him, and it's just put us in a whole another world. And they told me that, later on they came back and said that, he's doing fine and everything, but they don't sense any lower feelings. They think he may be paralyzed. And it's like, maybe it's too early, we think in our mind, maybe, they got it wrong or whatever, but that was one of the toughest things to, see your kid, athletic kid, and then all of a sudden his life been changed because of, the incident.
Now I'm paralyzed, T4 injury. Nipple line is the injury. I'm a full of complete paraplegic, and it's only been like a year and 4 months since the accident. The accident was July 7th, 2016.
The Commission on Law Enforcement operates the Crime Victim Reparations Program. It was established by Act 250 of 1982 to compensate victims for their out-of-pocket expenses.
It's administered to the state of Louisiana, but it also comes out of the federal government, and it's fines and fees that were levied against criminals. So it's not taxpayer dollars. And for every dollar we spend, we get 60 cents back from the federal government. So, and it's specifically for innocent victims of violent crime.
I received their case, contacted the Thomas family, and we scheduled an appointment. I met with the family. We assisted with the family. CVR assisted with emergency funds, which consisted of $500 for lost wages for the family. After that, we filled out a regular application, which will assist the family with lost wages and medical. So, I mean, that's basically what we're in the process of right now. We've been back and forth with paperwork, and I've got to really know the family, especially his mother, and we've created a really good rapport as far as, just keeping in contact and getting to know one another.
They reached out to us on several occasions, assisted us with helping to get us, putting us on the right avenue as far as getting financial support, as well as meeting us, helping us to meet with individuals on getting certain things taken care of around the house with his vehicle, and setting us up with different organizations to where we can get assistance with the with certain things.
Mainly, I've been trying to get my independence. Like, I've been working out, been going to physical therapy. My dad, we do stuff at home, like try standing up on our own with the walker, different stretches, just mobility, basically. Just getting used to a new life, just a new normal.
Oh man, without the benefit of the program, we would have a lot of financial issues goals that we couldn't meet, and a lot of avenues that we couldn't travel on because of the lack of knowledge that the program has put before us.
I plan on going to BRCC for a 2-year program for soundboarding. because music is one of my favorite hobbies. I can listen to any type of music, but I was leaning towards prosthetic technology, but now that my situation has changed, I have to look, more towards more accessible for how can I put it? More accessible for my new life, basically.
For other people, I'm sure it's other people who's in the same situation and without the crime victims. I mean, helping you out, it's a lot to deal with. So it's very valuable.
They helped us out a lot, like with financial aids, like modifications towards the house, towards my car, just making everything accessible for me, and they did a lot.
To me, it seems like a breath of fresh air to me, and I'm really grateful for the program because it kind of puts me in the middle of being able to help someone.
10 years from now, I love to have my own radio show, a family, and hopefully take over my daddy's business, lawn service.
The Crime Victim Reparations Program is important because it serves the needs of the victims who have been victimized by offenders in the community.
One of the things I like about this program is the funds come from the criminal side of it. It's not tax money. And I mean, it's you're helping the victims. On one side, it's the criminal side. Then you're helping the victims with the funds from a criminal. So from the the actual offender. So I think that is a really great thing about the program.
The biggest thing that this program does is assist the victim with some assurance that any expenses they incur are going to be taken care of to a maximum allowed by law.
But Crime Victims Reparations has put people back on their feet that otherwise they would not be back on their feet financially, medically, and emotionally, because we also offer to pay for counseling. It's imperative that people, law enforcement and DAs tell their victims about Crime Victims Reparations. We are here to help innocent victims of crime.
What this program has done for victims over the years is it's helped reestablish a sense of normalcy for these folks. It brings them back to a point where they probably were a little bit before the crime, at least to, one, take care of any expenses they have incurred, two, to treat any injuries that still exist, and three, to bring them back to a normal functioning in society where that's possible.
Thousands in my career at the Sheriff's Office have been helped with this program. It's been immediate help where somebody knew about it right away, and we helped with funeral expenses and lost wages, medical expenses. Some examples, there's another man that wasn't told about the Crime Victims Reparations. This is how it changed his life. Someone told him about it. He came over. He said, "I'm sure there's nothing you can do for me, but I'm going to ask anyway." They said, "Ask Miss Carolyn. She helps people who's been crime victims." He was a hit and run victim, and he was left for dead. And this had happened like 6 years earlier, and no one told him about it. And he couldn't walk on his left side whatsoever. In the middle of all of that, his wife divorced him. He had a little 2-year-old boy that was the light of his life. He was a construction worker, so no sick leave. He had to move back in with his mother. They lost their home. He lost his truck. And he lost his child when she divorced him. And his words to me was, when I had my little boy, all I pictured myself doing was throwing a football back and forth to him, because I played football in high school and I will never be able to do that. So he asked me what I could do, and well, he was permanently and total disabled. And I told him, I said, "We're going to put him for permanent and total disabled, and that's $25,000. And he started crying in my office. He said, "You know what, if that really does happen, I'm gonna put that up for my son for a college fund." So there's one difference. I had a college student. She was in college at LSU, and a person knocked her down on the concrete deliberately. She didn't even know her. But when she woke up, she had had brain surgery, and part of her brain was removed. So college was out for her. Most of her memory was gone, and she had thousands and thousands of dollars of bills and no job, and her parents lived up north. Her boyfriend brought her into my office because at LSU some people have said, there's a Miss Carolyn, you ought to check with her. She helps people like this, and she came in with all those bills and she laid them out in front of me. She was about 19 years old and just sat there and cried. She said, how do I even start off in life? I'm already in bankruptcy. And I said, well, honey, I'm glad you found me because we're going to do something to help you with that.
The program works at the local level when a victim or their family or claimants file an application for assistance through the sheriff's offices in the parish where the crime occurred. After that report or application is received, the sheriff's office verifies that the offense occurred, verifies that there are any expenses associated with the treatment of those injuries, and then submits that claim to the Commission on Law Enforcement. The staff here at the Commission then forwards that to the Crime Victim Reparations Board, who rules on the eligibility and payment of any claims that are submitted.
DARE started in Louisiana in 1991 and actually stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education. DARE works with a law enforcement officer that actually goes through a special training, a 2-week intensive training, where they become certified as a DARE officer, and they actually go into the schools and actually teach kids about making good choices and being responsible. It's actually managed by the Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement. They actually handle the money from the tobacco tax. If it wasn't for Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement, officers would actually have to go out and try to get donations and stuff like that, and we really just don't have time for that. Our main focus is actually working with the children, so it's really wonderful. In fact, other states don't have that opportunity that we actually have, that somebody's actually managing the money and allowing us to focus mostly on the classroom. The Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement does deserve a big thank you from all the officers here in the state for actually managing and helping us out, with the financial support. I've been involved in the DARE program since 1994. I've actually seen the relationships between the community and the officer actually improve because of the DARE program, because we do have the heart and we actually working in the classroom.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Jenny Ponder with the Truancy Assessment and Service Center. How are you doing?
I'm good, I'm good.
The name of the program is the Truancy Assessment and Service Center, or the TASK model. And the TASK model delivers a prompt intervention that works with truant children and their families in the hopes that unexcused absences will not be continued. It works because it uses early intervention, it uses rapid assessment, it takes into consideration environmental and family factors. It also uses timely, consistent case management. But the most important thing that I feel about the TASK program is that it works very collaboratively with law enforcement, with the courts, with the schools, and other community partners that have an interest in children and youth, to not only stop unexcused absences, but to help these children and families develop a positive attitude and a connection to elementary school. The Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement, LCLE, has been a valuable partner to us for several years now. They provide technical assistance, they provide financial assistance, and they provide case management advice and support. They monitor our program, they come out and visit with us, they ask questions about how we're getting along with our community partners. They just provide a strong support so that we can implement the program model. If it were not for the Louisiana Commission of Law Enforcement, these children would suffer greatly. We might even lose them, and they would drop out of school maybe as early as elementary.
The Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement operates the Peace Officer Standards and Training Program. It does that on behalf of the Council of Peace Officer Standards and Training. The POST program was established in 1976 to establish minimum training standards for all Louisiana peace officers. In addition, the Council also accredits all peace officer academies. There are 27 basic training academies in Louisiana. Each of those is responsible for adhering to the standards established by the Council itself. It's important for peace officers to have training with firearms because the firearm is one instrument or tool that a peace officer might have to use if there's a danger to the health and safety of the community. It's used as a last resort. The Peace Officer Training Program is a valuable program because it ensures that the peace officers themselves are trained to a high standard to ensure the health and safety of our communities.
The Residential Substance Abuse Treatment Program, or RSAT, is a program administered by the Department of Justice, the Office of Justice Programs. The program assists states and local governments to develop and implement substance abuse treatment programs in state and local correctional and detention facilities, and to create and maintain community-based aftercare services for offenders. The goal of the RSAT program is to break the cycle of drugs and violence by reducing the demand for the use and trafficking of illegal drugs. RSAT enhances the capability of states and units of local government to provide residential substance abuse treatment for incarcerated inmates, prepares offenders for their reintegration into the communities from which they came by incorporating reentry planning activities into treatment programs, and assists offenders and their communities through the reentry process through the delivery of community-based treatment and other broad-based aftercare services. The JDAI Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative is an initiative based on 8 core strategies that is basically a system reform, overall system reform. LCLE's role is to provide technical assistance to the 5 pilot sites to make sure that they are holding fidelity to the model that was established by JDAI.
The East Baton Rouge Parish and the other 4 sites inside of Louisiana partnered with the Annie Casey Foundation in 2006. We endeavored to do better for kids that are here in Louisiana that are incarcerated or detained in our local facilities. The Casey Foundation provided technical assistance to our local sites so that way we could provide better care for kids while they're in the facility, ensure that the proper kids are being held inside of the complex, ensure that kids are having proper supervision by the staff, services and programs offered into the facility are appropriate for children. Training is provided to the staff, and also to look at our juvenile justice system as a whole and see how we can do better, speed the process up if necessary, detain the proper kids, and that is important. We don't want to hold kids inside of secure detention facilities that are inappropriately detained because we know statistically that it is going to cause more harm than good.
My role at LCLE is to partner not only with our local sites, our 5 pilot sites, and provide technical assistance, but also to push state scale work, which is working with other agencies on the state level, such as the Supreme Court, Public Defender's Office, the Louisiana District Attorneys Association, Department of Education, and there's many, many more, to better serve our kids and do better for kids in the system. Our main purpose is to reduce unnecessary detention admissions for kids. So only detaining those kids who absolutely need to be detained, and for those who don't need to be detained, to offer them alternatives to detention, which is community-based resources.
In 2006, when we started the work with the Casey Foundation, we had an average daily population of 55 kids inside the facility. Our facility only holds 52 kids, so for all the kids that we would release in a day, we were taking kids in. We were at maximum capacity on a daily basis. Last year, our average daily population was 39 kids. So we've seen reductions in average daily population. Average length of stay has went down from about 22 average length of stay inside the facility down to about 16 average length of stay. And we've also seen reduction in the number of felony petitions filed inside of juvenile court from the highest at about 1,500 felony petitions filed in the Baton Rouge Juvenile Court down to last year around 600 kids. So not only have we reduced the number of kids inside the facility, we've also seen reductions in crime rate inside of Baton Rouge.
If it wasn't for the Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement, we would more than likely see that more kids are being detained unnecessarily. Their length of stay in the detention centers would be longer. They probably would not have access to alternatives to detention and certain resources within the community. And also, between the partnership between the state coordinator in LCLE and national partners, they wouldn't have access to technical assistance that comes from the national experts around the country.
We are the Louisiana Protective Order Registry. We are a court-managed program of the Louisiana Supreme Court. We handle all of the restraining orders and protective orders that are issued pursuant to domestic, dating, stalking, and sexual assault. We are a statewide repository in that we receive orders from all 64 parishes. This program is important because what we do is provide the legal remedies. We make that available to victims of domestic violence to show them what they can use and how they can access the legal court system in order to get protection from abuse. Domestic violence is very serious in Louisiana. Louisiana ranks as one of the highest states for lethality in domestic violence relationships. We have a lot of people who are suffering as a result of abuse in family and dating relationships. This program protects victims in that we provide them with the information that they need to access the legal system. We provide the legal remedies to them in these violent relationships for victims of domestic violence. The Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement has partnered with us, and they provide funding to us to make all of this information available to victims. We provide mandatory court-ordered forms. Victims are afforded the opportunity to petition pro se. We train all of the multidisciplinary persons who handle victims throughout their engagement with the legal system.
Anytime a crime is reported to police in Louisiana, that crime data is submitted to the Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement with quality assured, and it is then submitted to the FBI. We have a variety of programs here at the Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement, which is used to process this large amount of data.
The programs are LIMA's IBR, which is our incident-based reporting system. We have UCR, which is our online reporting system. And we have LIBRS, our incident-based reporting system. And the main focus of this section is to report crimes to the FBI. So what we do is have these three programs in place to assist law enforcement agencies in reporting their crimes to us in order that we report the crimes to the FBI. Now, we report the crimes on a monthly basis, and should any issues arise within any of the programs that are reported by the IT liaison officers, then it is my job to work with technology engineers, which is our computer programmers, in order to correct any of these issues. Or if we get any updates or mandates from the FBI, it is my job to work with technology engineers to make sure those updates or new features are implemented into each of our systems. I supervise all of the agents, the IT liaison officers, over each of these programs. All of this is important because as we report the crimes to the FBI, we get funds from the FBI from the crimes that are reported. And then the funds that we get is, I'll say, divvied out to any of the law enforcement agencies that report those crimes. The more crimes that are reported, the more money we get from the FBI. The more money we get, the more funds the law enforcement agencies receive.
The name of the program is LIMA's IBR, which is a record management free software that the law enforcement agencies of Louisiana use to keep track of their incidents. The program has been around for 10 years going on, so we provide it for all the agencies across the state line of Louisiana. The law enforcement agencies around the state of Louisiana participate in this program, which is important because it keeps stats of their records, their crime stats, their statistics, which can get funneled to the federal government, which can provide information for the community to intel the statistics data of what goes around in their community. The murders, the rapes, the robberies, those things. If it wasn't for the LCLE, the program will no longer exist, which will revert the law enforcement agencies to keep track of their incidents on paper and pen, file cabinets, desk drawers, things of that nature. So with this program, it allows the law enforcement agencies to have everything at a central location on a computerized based system, which they can actually get access to their reports much more easily, efficiently.
UCR stands for Uniform Crime Reporting System. Basically, it is a system that is used by the FBI to record what I usually like to refer to as the 7 deadly sins. The 7 deadly sins are your homicides, your rapes, your robberies, your assaults, your burglary, your larceny theft, and your motor vehicle thefts. And basically, when there's a call to service to a police agency to come out if one of those crimes are committed, it's recorded, and it's recorded into the UCR program. Now, law enforcement agencies, colleges, universities, etc., they use those particular statistics to capture what's going on in the community at a particular time by the types of crimes that are being committed in that community. When the agencies report their crime statistics to our program, they are eligible for grants that will help them buy equipment and also help them to fight crime.
Here's how the Louisiana Incident-Based Reporting System, LIBRS for short, works. When a law enforcement agency has an incident called in, the law enforcement officer will go to the crime scene, and once they're at the crime scene, they will record every incident that happened at that crime scene. For example, robbery. If a suspect goes into a house and they rob that house and they enter the house by force and they steal items out of the house, then what is recorded is the robbery, the entry by force, the incident was completed, and the items that were stolen would be recorded in the incident. And if the robber tries to sell them and he goes to a pawn shop, then that incident would also include what pawn shop he actually tried to sell it at and the items that were sold. This is important because it helps us to capture the criminal and to record the incidents and the crime so that it is reported to the FBI.
One important program is SAC, the Statistical Analysis Center, here at the Commission on Law Enforcement. The SAC program works by collecting and combining all of the crime data that we receive here from law enforcement and criminal justice agencies within the state of Louisiana, and we process and analyze that data to come up with crime trends, crime rates, provide reports, annual reports that are due to the FBI as well as the Louisiana legislative body here. Once the FBI receives our crime data, it quality assures it, and then they process it and transfer it into their national database, which is called the NIBR system. All of this work is important because it helps policymakers to come up with new ways to fight crime. The Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement also works with the Bureau of Justice Statistics with the Bulletproof Vest program for law enforcement officers within the state of Louisiana, which provides bulletproof vests for them, and it pays up to 50% of the cost of the vest. Law enforcement agencies are allowed to either purchase new vests or replace old, outdated vests. Another program that we have here is the NCSX program, the National Crime Statistics Exchange, and with that program, all of the agencies that report their crime data through summary UCR crime reporting will now be transitioned to NIBRS reporting, which is the national database for the FBI. And all of this has to be done and complete within the state of Louisiana by January 1st of 2021. This transition is very important to Louisiana because what it will do is allow the agencies to submit crime data that is more detailed so that they can get an accurate count of what the crime rate is in the state of Louisiana. With summary reporting, you only do the index crime, which there's a hierarchy rule. However, with the NIBRS reporting, it counts everything that happens. So it gives you a much truer picture of what crimes are actually going on, what the crime rate is within the state of Louisiana.
An important part of collecting crime statistics for UCR, we also have to train the police departments also. And here today we have Amber Chopin with the Gretna Police Department, and I'm going over with her the different definitions of the crimes that the FBI look for, because it's not according to the local definitions of the crimes, it's mandated by the federal definitions of the crime. And we basically just tell them and teach them how to capture all of the different crime statistics. This is very important because the FBI sets the definitions that they would like the crime statistics to be captured under. The local governments have their definitions. Say, for instance, an attempted murder. We don't do attempted murders in the UCR. You have to have, in order for it to be considered a homicide, you have to have a dead body. The attempted murders are counted under assaults only. And another definition that's different with the local agencies and the federal government, your burglaries. In order for it to be considered a burglary for UCR reporting purposes, it has to have 4 walls, a door, and a roof. Whereas with local agencies, they consider burglaries from a car, or the break-in of a car and stealing things out of a car, they consider that a car burglary. Whereas with UCR, it's not. It's called a larceny theft. The training program has been very, very successful because once they go through our training program, then they learn basically how to do the crime statistics on their own, and they submit them to us once a month, and we check them after that, and usually they do very well.
All the information that we gather here at the Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement is sent to the FBI for our yearly publication, Crime in the U.S. And this document goes to Congress and other policymakers to help reduce crime in the United States. We also publish a publication called Crime in Louisiana. This publication goes to policymakers to help reduce crime within the state.
LCLE is Law Enforcement Educational Management Institute, and we work in conjunction with the LCLE in numerous ways to cover mandates where chiefs have to get 12 hours of continuing education units each year. There's also a mandate that anyone who has the title chief must take a 40-hour new chiefs course, which is put on by LCLE in conjunction with the Louisiana Association of Chiefs of Police. This training is important because the chiefs must get ethics each year, as well as sexual harassment in the workplace. That's 2 credits of the 12. The other 10 are electives and are offered by the Louisiana Association of Chiefs of Police, as well as POST, which is with LCLE, and also through the Louisiana Municipal Association. So all 3 of us work together as it relates to the LCLE program and covering the mandates of the state as it relates to chiefs getting continued education units. This program has been extremely successful for the Chiefs of Police in the state of Louisiana.
Thank you for watching our program. If you have any questions about the services that we offer, please go to our website.